Hey, so I just want to come on in honor of tomorrow, which is National Autism Day. It's been called a few different things in terms of awareness or acceptance or whatever, but I wanted to give you 3 things that have really helped me in our journey with my son and to understand autism, a whole bunch more. And I hope that any parent who has a child who's maybe outside the box, these things can help. Or if you have an adult or you are an adult that is a little outside the box. And that's definitely one thing I think in my 50 years I've really realized as of late. And I think going through 2020 and all that is that we truly are, most of us, I think there's a large percentage of us, if we get to know ourselves really well, that we will find something outside the box. Does that make sense? Let me just check okay. So here are the 3 things that really help me. If we haven't met before, my name is Mary Starr Carter, and I am a retired chiropractor, natural health wellness coach, weight loss coach, and I have been helping people since 1999 find natural solutions. So in my journey, and just to give you a little bit about our journey with Joshua, in my journey early on in my career, I had several autistic kids, one in particular who we saw really good results with in some of the natural wellness solutions we used. So I had a bit of an arrogance when I had my first child, who was Joshua, that all things natural could help, or my biggest one is why I didn't want to ever label someone with a dis-ease or dysfunction, because I had seen through the years that a lot of times when a client would get labeled with something, say it was fibromyalgia or an autoimmune conditions, they became that identity and didn't think that there could be a solution. So it was very, very much against, even though maybe some of the signs were there, or even people had mentioned that to me, I'm like, I'm not going to label my son. Until I had this coming of Jesus meeting, literally at church camp of all things in 2022, where the Lord really kind of just woke me up to the fact that my son was different, that he not only was on the autism spectrum, but had ADHD and all of those things as well. So the Lord has really been good. It's been a miraculous journey. This is how we ended up here in Florida, because of my son's journey. And let me share some things that really will help you along the way. Okay, well, let me start with a simple show called Love on the Spectrum. I, again, was very much against watching it because I didn't want to admit that my son was different or that he had autism. But several people had mentioned it, even my husband had watched it, but again, I was just very confrontational. Until an amazing babysitter, Desiree, who may watch this, suggested to me that when she was watching the show, she noticed that there were certain words that some of these young adults or kids with autism, like, they couldn't stand. Like, they literally hurt their ears. Like, it hurt them physically to hear, because every time you would tell Joshua shh when he was little, he would like grab his stomach and be like, ow, ow, and he'd be like pointing to that. And even today there are certain words that just, so it was actually more into our journey that I finally did end up watching this show, and I actually watched parts of it. It's not appropriate necessarily for young kids. There's some non-Christian values in there that I don't agree with, but I watched part of it with my daughter, and both of us were like, oh my gosh, that's Josh. Like, there was just such this like, oh, oh, okay, versus thinking this one kid, seeing everything not as who he was, but more as a problem, right? So I know that's horrific to hear a parent say, but it really did help me to understand that. And here's kind of like I almost can cry about it a little bit, because that show did really impact me and like just help me be aware. But the second thing I'm going to share with you is getting into a support group. And the Lord is so good, and part of the miracle of us being here is he gave me a vision for the church that we actually belong to today. And we drive, you know, a good amount, over 30 minutes, 40 minutes, to go to this church and really be involved in this church. And the pastors at this church had a vision for kids on the spectrum and just felt the Lord was bringing them. So even before we became here, I had actually not met, but got to see one of the pastors who pastors this church. And the Lord told me, he gave me a word, and he said, you will see her again. And so anyway, the Robinsons here in Plant City Church of God ended up having a support group for parents of kids on the spectrum. And so that started up maybe a year and a half ago. And I remember the first meeting that we went to, I got to meet one of the amazing young adults, parents and grandparents. His name is TyWy. And Tyler is just amazing. And I remember Pastor Carla introducing me. He's a DJ. He DJs for, you know, he has his own business. He works, you know, he's just a really amazing kid. And it was always been interesting to introduce Josh to him and have him see like, hey, you can do anything. Now, how does this all tie into Love on the Spectrum? Well, in that support group, I heard about Tyler and how when he was a kid, like, you could not sing happy birthday. Like, he would like go ballistic and spastic and all of these things. And that I was like, wait, my son does that. I'm like, oh, like it was just all these epiphanies in the support group, and just meeting some amazing people. Speaking of amazing people, I want to introduce you to my friend Teresa Yeager. Her son is you help me with this, Teresa, but has there's 3 types of autism. He is nonverbal. He has a lot of, he's an adult now. I think he's 21 years old. But she has a wonderful program for self-care for the caregiver, for caregivers, you know, particularly with kids with autism, and helping us to stay healthy and sane, and gives us like real tangible tools and stuff. So she's been a mentor for me, and hopefully she can put up maybe her, you can follow her on Facebook, and she might have some other resources too. I know she does some really good trainings and classes and stuff too. So going back to that, so having support groups like Teresa, like this group at church, and I mean, it's just been really amazing. And even like at Christmas, I just got to share this about Plant City Church of God and their vision. At Christmas, they held this Christmas party for kids with autism, and hardly anybody went. But the Lord always has a plan, because my son had just gotten suspended that day, but we still had to go to this event, right? We were bringing games and to watch my son get ministered to by the 2 pastors, and how God just ordained it just for that night. Like, friends, you need community. You absolutely need a support group. You need community. You need mentorship. You need this. You absolutely need this. And if you're in the area, Zephyr Hills, Plant City, Tampa area, I encourage you, you know, to come join us at Plant City. It's just awesome. So that same night, I got to become very good friends with another parent there of a child with autism, and we've been able to pray for each other and just be ministering to each other, because it's a hard road, right? So now back to Tyler in the support group. Tyler, well, his girlfriend, who is autistic, she is one of the cast members of Love on the Spectrum for season 3. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? And I think Tyler's going to be on there as well. But it's like this full circle of how the Lord is planning all this for us. So I told you about that show. I think you should watch it if you have an outside the box kid. It might be helpful to you. I think you need a support group, absolutely. And there's support groups online. I know BetterHelp had, autism support groups. I wasn't part of them. I don't know about that. I know Teresa, again, she's a wonderful mentor specifically for you as a caregiver. But there is a lot of resources, and I'm going to tell you about one more resource. But before I share that, I wanted to share one more thing with you. We actually go to the Academy of Spectrum Diversity. It's part of the reason why we moved here. It's an autism. It's a school for kids who are outside the box, who, if they were mainstreamed, they would not do good or did not do good. It's a phenomenal school. If you're looking for where your charitable giving dollars can go, I highly recommend you think about this school. They are about 8 or 9 years old. Their son was nonverbal for many, many years, and they just found a better way, and they thought, why not start our school? They were like a principal and teachers and like this family came together and put this school together, and they are growing and just doing amazing things, and our government officials are supporting them, and it's really amazing to see where things will go with this school. So the Academy of Spectrum Diversity here in Zephyr Hills. Okay, so let me take you through this. So we said support group. We talked about Love on the Spectrum and just opening your awareness to that. I'm not going to debate what causes autism. I'm not going to, if we want to go down that road another time, we can. I'm not going to talk about nutritional protocols or anything. Again, I'm open to sharing more about that. But the one thing I will share with you is something we found recently called Kinspire. Kinspire, Kinspire. I have said this the whole time that we have been working with Joshua in occupational therapy, physical therapy, like all of those things. I was like a mom with her head, chicken with her head cut off, running in California, running him to this training and that, and going here and being in traffic, and it was not good for my nervous system. And I always felt, I'm like, wait a second, these things, whether it's speech or OT, but particularly the OT, could be taught to us virtually. In this amazing company, I think they were founded either before 2020 or through 2020, developed their occupational therapists who are registered to work in my state, even though ours lives in Nebraska, but it's parent-led training. Because you got to do these, even if you go to OT, occupational therapy, these are therapies that help your child. Even ABA therapy, I don't know, I'm not going to go down that road. They don't do that, but like primitive reflexes, I've heard about them. Dr. Megan Dale was the first person to recognize in my son when he was probably 7 or 8 years old that he had retained primitive reflexes. Go Google it, look it up. And for example, we were talking about this yesterday. So when we're born, we sometimes can retain reflexes from when we're a baby. There's reflexes that literally help us get out the birth canal, right? And if you retain some of these reflexes, you could have symptoms like ADHD. You could have like a lot of clumsiness and things, difficulty with vision and reading, difficulty with being able to control your body, like you're always, having to have sensory input, all of these things. So at Kinspire, the OT will take your child through a testing protocol to see what your child has. And I've done some videos on this previous too. And adults can have them too. Adults can have retained primitive reflexes too. They cause your nervous system to be out of whack. It's amazing. So I'll give you an example, okay? So put your adult son, child, whomever, or yourself in a chair, spin yourself, about 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, spinny chair. And then look at your eyes, right? And we'll have what's called nystagmus. It'll go back and forth like this. In about 10 seconds, it'll go away. 20 seconds at the most. My son retained that for over 2 minutes. Over 2 minutes. Okay? Crazy, right? So his vestibular reflex, and I've kind of gotten these pieces from other testing we've done, but never, it wasn't all put collectively together and then given me tools to walk through week to week, exercises to do, how to do our morning routine, what he needs to do before he goes to school to help his nervous system be ready, to help his vision be ready. Now we're working on the afternoon routine, sleep routines. Like, they help you help your son. And they give this great analogy that, you have the red maple and you have a bonsai tree, right? So the red maple, it needs water, it's very hardy, sunlight, but it can grow just about anywhere. It's just a very hardy tree. And then you have the bonsai tree, right? That needs a lot more attention and nutrients and time and resources, right? This is what we have when we have these outside the box kids. And that was a huge aha for me because I have two children, and the one child takes a lot of time and energy and resources. And I know Teresa can agree with me too, because I think she has 4 or 5 other kids, right? So, and this is why she is a great resource as well, because how do we care for ourselves amongst all our responsibilities as well? So it's just this beautiful program. It's only about $200 a month. It might sound a lot for you, for your family, but I kid you not, it's like super, super, super helpful. Yes, it will be probably out of pocket for you, or maybe you could use your HSA, but I cannot share that enough. I want to show you one other thing. Let me pull it up here real quick. This was very, very helpful to me too, because I always thought my son was on the spectrum, and I always thought, oh, well, he has, I didn't always think that, but like, oh, he's mild, right? I thought like the spectrum was like this. Okay. What people often think when they hear of autism spectrum, they think a little autistic and very autistic. And even now I'm still like having to correct my language and think about it, but it really isn't that. This is what it's more like, right? My son has different sensory needs, how he perceives things. His executive function is like, I won't say non-existent. Special interest. One in our support group, one of the kids, I think he's maybe 19, maybe 20 now. He has a job, at a grocery store, but he loves trains, and he has like some amazing stop locomotion, or what do you call it? Like stop, where anyway, his YouTube channel is like through the roof, and that's what he's interested in. And I did learn this, that a lot of autistic kids do like trains for some reason. I don't know why I'm learning this. Motor skills will be different. Joshua actually, his motor skills, it always confused him in OT because his were way beyond, in some sense, what they should be. And this is what one person's autism may look like. Right? Every autistic person has their own experience. I thought that was just really, really neat, and just kind of can give you a good perspectives of all that. So I'm just a parent going through this journey, really learning just really in the past couple of years. And there, as a parent too, when you like, I have a friend, acquaintance, she has twins, and her one son is on the spectrum, or he's outside the box, right? We'll just say he's outside the box. And I see in her what I kind of was going through too. When you have one child who's studying Latin and reading novels and, you know, by the weeks and things like that, just the difference and how it's so easy to compare our kids, and there's a grief in that. Like, I don't know, friends, but I even struggle to watch my friends' kids on Facebook and stuff. They're neurotypical kids, because my kid is turning 15 tomorrow on Autism Awareness, or whatever day, Autism Day, we'll just call it. But my kid, you know, is turning 15. And by any other sense, you know, today I watched a 15-year-old like debate do a Lincoln Douglas debate, and, you know, and it was just like, wow, you know, it's can be challenging, and you really have to just use your support group. Remember that every child is different, and from our some training I've taken is and what Teresa taught me too, is to journal and write the sprouts. We call them sprouts or wins, you know, that your child have, to be grateful, you know, to really look at that, and you will be able to celebrate those things and see a future. And yeah, so anyway, I'm sure there's so much more I could talk about. Hello, my friend. But the three things, if you have an outside the box child, I would recommend is, number one, get a support group. Number two, watch things like, for me, Love on the Spectrum just made a huge impact for me. Again, not in alignment with some of my values, but there was pieces in there. It's a buffet table. Take what you want, leave what you don't. Or maybe it's something else for you, right? And then three, I really, really think that Kinspire program, and I don't know if it's kinspire.com or whatever, but you can look. It's an occupational parent-led training. Parent meaning they're training us to help us in our homes have more peace, more routines, to help us understand the diagnosis of our child, like sensory, fine motor, all of those things too. It is very well priced and I think doable for a lot of families, for what you get, right? Versus having to drive here and there and pay co-pays and just all of that. I think it's really phenomenal. And you get 24 access to your, well, not 24, but daily access to your occupational therapist, and you send them videos and they watch and they help you correct things, and it's very, very, very good. Something I see one of my chiro doc friends are on, something that we probably all chiropractors should use as a resource as they're seeing these neurodivergent kids, is to be able to give the parents, you know, resources that, and this could be a great Kinspire app. So, all right, if you want to talk more, I'm open to that as well. We are transversing the genetic and nutritional and some other things for my son as well. So we could talk about that another time. All right, hopefully this was helpful, and just love on your families tomorrow, because you never know what any family is going through with an outside the box child. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.